All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Bitcoin Trade. I just wanted to follow up on the news that if you're an investor, you're not considered a money transmitter or exchanger or anything. And I wanted to look more into it because you know, being a Bitcoin trader, you have some risk involved. All right, and so this is a news article here. Let me see if I could scroll up here. Yeah, right here. There it is. That's the title right here from I don't know, National Law Review, whatever. And it's somebody wrote about it. And then let me see. It talks about. I don't really care about the miners because I'm not a miner, but I am an investor, and I'm investing for my. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna try to highlight it for you guys. This is what they wrote on it. All right, here you go. Now I'll start from up here. Let me see, right there. There you go. I'm gonna highlight that, and hopefully you all see it. Okay. And it says in its second administrative ruling, FinCEN, whatever that means, ruled that an investor in convertible virtual currencies constitutes a user under the guidance to the extent that such investor purchases and sells convertible virtual currency exclusively as investments for its own account. So let's say an individual personal investor, which is anybody, right? Anybody can become an investor. Just by the act of buying and selling a financial instrument. You become a user because you're an investor. That's huge for Bitcoin, because now I can buy and sell legally without any license requiring me to do so, basically. And so I looked at it and I said, well, where does it say that? And then if I read on, there's a link that takes me to this here, and it's just a lot of crap. But here there's a little note as you read through it, and it has a little number 10, and I said, okay, well, that means something, right? So let's see what the hell this means. What are they talking about? And this is kind of where they get the where the law, I guess, where the guidelines say that an investor who buys and sells for his own account is not a money transmitter or an exchanger. Okay, and so there it is, and I said, okay, what the hell is that? Okay, well, let's look it up. So I had to look it up, and all this here is all available to you. I mean, you don't have to be a lawyer anymore if you're just smart enough to find the answer. So now this is all. I'm not sure if this is or not up to date, but I'm assuming this is the document that mentions that. And this is the part right here where it talks about whether a person is a money transmitter is a matter of facts and circumstances. I mean, I love how they word that. Okay, well, the term money transmitter does not include a person who only, and it's just saying it. I think this part is an exemption, to the act, just like I showed you in the Washington state documents, right? And so I read all this, and none of this just really made any sense until I got to E and F. And then E and F, let me see, provide stored value now referred to as prepaid access under prepaid access rule, whether it is opened or closed loop. Wow, look at that. Does that sound familiar? You got to say to yourself that the Washington State guidelines came from at least a federal guideline, right? So I was saying there's got to be some sense into all this. And if you continue, it actually goes to or. And I think this is the one where the investors become a user in virtual currency here. And so this particular line here says accepts and transmit funds only integral to the sale of goods or the provisions of service other than money transmission service by the person who is accepting and transmitting the funds. So I read that and I said, that makes sense for me because that's what I do. Now, sale of goods, I'm selling Bitcoin. I don't know if it's a good or not. I don't know if has any, when I think of goods, I think of food, but maybe something that has a stored value, maybe that is a good. Who knows? But I think that this is maybe the area. And the thing about when you buy and sell something, you have to facilitate some kind of an exchange to do it. So how else are you going to do that without transmitting money? But because I'm not in the transmission money let me see, how do they say it? I'm not in the money transmission service. I'm not interested in. I'm not saying I'm going to take your money and get it out of Mexico and into America or anything. I'm just saying that. What I'm saying is, man, I have to give money to this person in order to facilitate my transaction in my business. That you just can't. It can't be done without actually doing that. So you gotta do some kind of delivery, right? So like wiring money, sending checks, going to the bank, and making a deposit in order to fulfill the transaction to buy and sell your goods, which for me is Bitcoin and money to some extent. So I think that's where it comes in, because I was looking for it because I've been reading different things. I'm saying, well, where does it really say that? Well, I hope this says that because that's gonna really, I got some legs to stand on now, so I don't feel like I have to be outcasted by my banking system. So hopefully, now that I got a better understanding of this, I can find out what's my next step here. In the future episodes, you'll see, is I'm going to try to find the bank who understands all this and is able to help me, with for my own account, investing in Bitcoins for my own purpose, just like I've been showing you all here. So that's going to be my next episodes. I do have some other banks in mind that I'm talking to, but that means this is a big step not only for Bitcoin users, but it's kind of like a big step for some of the banks too. They may want to get in on some of this action here. They don't want to get left behind. So, anyways, thanks for watching this episode. Hopefully this helps out a lot. I've been getting a lot of. I have to admit, all of a sudden I stopped getting any orders on local Bitcoins, right? And I also stopped getting a lot of text for some strange reason. And I was wondering what's going on. And as soon as this announcement, like a day after I've been reading the reports here, excuse me, I started getting texts again. I haven't got anything on local Bitcoins, but I started getting texts like whether what I was doing was valid, And I just kind of just said yes. I mean, it's got to be, because I've been reading reports that that you can do this. Investors, for your own accounts, who buy and sell, you are a user, not a money transmitter. You're using the services of a money transmitter, but you are not in and of itself a money transmitter. Okay, so that's pretty big. I don't know if this really applies to any currency exchange, because um, you know, no one really recognizes Bitcoin as a currency, or, or, or well, it's hard to when it has no government to work with. So, anyways, so I think this is it right here. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it right there for you all to read. Hopefully, you can all read this. So there you go. So let's do. I'll end it with a nice chart analysis with one of these here, one of these chart analysis here. Okay, so looks like it's downtrending, as you see. This is the 2-day 15-minute, and of course that is the weighted average, 10 and 25 weighted average. So it's been trending down, and like I said, on Mt. Gox, the bands are really nice for me to see that trend. And if you just put a line right here, and as soon as the bands start crossing over, that may be a good time to buy. Small risk, like I said, 10, 20, whatever, 1%, whatever 1% you're comfortable with, or not 1%, 10%. So I know some of you have big accounts, some of us has little accounts, but 10% is still 10% no matter across the board, right? Just a different number for different volumes. So it's just going down. Let me see here. Let's go to Bitstamp. And not quite the same pattern. Let me see that. Yeah, 2-day, 15 minutes. So not quite the same pattern, but it's still very different in pattern, isn't it? Now I would show you BitC, but for some reason BitC is not even on here anymore. So let's take a look at the overall market. And yeah, you see BitC right here somewhere, but disappeared again. It does every now and then. I don't know why. Just kind of just vanishes. Everything, the chart, but still shows up on Bitcoin Wisdom though. So yeah, it's turning red. So it's flopping up and down on the 30-day average. Who knows what's going on with it? And let's look at the volumes here. Volumes have dropped, slowly dropping. Let's see what's going on with it. All right, so there it is. So let's back up. Let's see where the lines are. And this is on a 1 hour, so you kind of see a lot better now that it's just hitting back to that support line right about here. So you're actually seeing another nice channel, maybe right around here. I'll have to play with it, but there could be another nice, you see another channel forming here, another line. So it's still in range. The lower volume just kind of kills you, doesn't it? You're so used to the volatility, but it's still a pretty good move. You know, I mean, when you look at a 15-minute chart, it just seems it's so fast and quick and everything, but really, you really got to pull back once in a while, because there's fluctuations, just like in the stock market. There's fluctuations in Bitcoin. Depends how much money is being printed versus not being printed. So, and it's a new world now. So it was something of shadow banking for a while to now something that's legitimate out in the open. It can still be used for shadow banking, but I think as it becomes more legitimized, it's going to be harder for the for the for the shadows to hide. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, they did put the criminals did put a lot of money into Bitcoin, and they started it, and it was like how can I say this? I mean, um, it really was because of them that Bitcoin became popular in by name and also value. So I can't hate them too much. And now that the government actually owns something that's worth a lot of money, I think they're gonna kind of endorse it for a while. Um, and who knows? It's just another seizure. I don't know, something that was seized for the government. It's just something else, and it's valuable, so they'll use it. And all right, so you see it right there. It's going down. Let me get a pen here. Sorry. So you see it going down, and I did mention that it would probably just hit up here in this resistance and fall down. Very common. Does it a lot. At this point, um, this is all technical chart analysis speculation. I'll just put it that way. It's just chart analysis speculation. Sometimes they'll move because it wants to move. I mean, people move it. Real people move it with real money and real bitcoins. So, like I said, it's Bitcoin is totally independent, and it doesn't care what you think. Doesn't care who you are. Doesn't care where you're from or how you got here. It's always there, you know, on the computer and in the real world, So, anyways, let me back up here to like a longer chart. So, all right, it hit. Now it's staying along this, and again, it's still going to that triangle, but the way it's moving, it's hard to tell. I mean, it almost seems like it can explode anytime because China's gotten into the game. They came back into the game. We'll see what they do. I think people are just going to slowly get back in, just to test it out. They're not going to put everything like they did before. I think they're going to be really cautious. They may just start off with, like me, just one Bitcoin and trade like 20, 30 bucks, 10 bucks, maybe do some real world trades at the same time. I bet you they're doing more, physical trades, like trading hard cash, because that's probably the only way that it's done, before all that. And plus, I have to admit, some there's people out there, that's what they do. They trade money. That's kind of how they wheel and deal. They know how to utilize their purchasing power. I remember when I was let me see, I think I was maybe preteen. I think preteen, but I remember going to Korea, South Korea, and there would be people exchanging U.S. dollars for Korean money, and I thought that was weird that people would carry around U.S. dollars in another country, but that's kind of what they did. It was, you know, it was kind of interesting concept, but to some degree, there may be some other places around the world where people value U.S. dollars over their own currency and any other form of, you know, um, stored value, I guess. That cash, that U.S. dollar. So, but anyways, this concludes this episode here. I think there could be a really good chance it could maintain this uptrend because it just won't die. It just keeps going and going and going up. Of course, this is Mt. Gox. Let's see what the other charts are saying here. I'll put that to 6 hour. So this is the other chart, and this is Bitstamp. Now this is saying a different thing. Let me see here. It's flattening, but it looks more down. And then 6 hours, let's compare. And this is also following the same thing. So, but again, it doesn't, it's not like it's deviating that much. It's just, I prefer to trade because look at the moves that it has, and these are all trades that are being done. So I think my point is in this is if you look at the different charts at the different exchanges, in my opinion, Mt. Gox is more of a trader's exchange. People who don't mind, they're not criminals, alright? These people just probably come from trading something else. Either stocks, other commodities, whatever. So they're doing the same thing I'm doing here, and they're taking advantage of all these price movements. So for me, this is why I trade here. I know I keep saying that, but anyways, I guess I'll end this episode on that. I hope that kind of helps you with your trading, and I hope you can leave a comment, like, dislike, or video response. So until next time, stay tuned. Sorry, I just want to catch one more thing here. I did notice a little, one of those small little numbers around here. Oh, right there, 18. So by the person who accepting and transmitting the funds, number 18. And I want to just scroll down just to make sure what it was. Okay, I'm sorry, right here. Oh, number 18. 18, whatever this is. Notes that similar to circumstances, persons that sell goods or provide service other than, it just says a lot of things. And then it, basically restates all that, and then it says are not money transmitters. For example, brokering the sale of securities, commodity contracts, or similar instruments is not money transmission, notwithstanding the fact that the person brokering the sale may move funds back and forth between the buyer and seller to affect the well, hell, it never finishes. I would just have to assume is to affect the sale. I guess I wouldn't know. So sorry about that. I'll just leave that as a side note there.